Hey, I hope you guys found me over here. I was having some technical difficulties over there, but I'll kind of wait for you guys to trickle in here. I apologize for that. I don't know why it would not let me go live, so I'm just going to wait for you guys to trickle on in here. Hopefully you come in pretty soon. All right, are we starting to get some people in here now? All right, good. I'm glad you guys found me over here. I'm going to start over. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. I was just kind of waiting for people to get over here. So, first thing I want to do though is, as I got your comments rolling by here on my left, I want somebody to tell me if I have sound and if everything's good before we get started here, because I don't want to be like 20 minutes into this and realize that you guys didn't hear a word of it. So been there, done that already. So all right, good. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about tonight in regards to the Suzanne Morphew case is I want to kind of give you guys well, first of all, let me just say this. I want to pay my respects to Suzanne's family, and you know, anybody that any relatives, anybody that's close to the family, I'd like to offer my condolences for Suzanne. And I'm sure it's a bittersweet, you know, time for you guys and all that, but I just wanted to offer you my condolences real quick. So I'm just going to kind of be speaking off the cuff tonight, guys, because I like doing that better. I like just telling stories and talking off the cuff here, but I do kind of have a little bit of a script here that I kind of want to stick to. And the first thing I wanted to talk about tonight is the Suzanne Morphew case and all the ups and downs that have taken place in this case. And I've talked about it in some of my other videos. You know, we've had highs and lows and things like that. And so there's a story that I wanted to tell you guys, and it's about a Chinese farmer. And so here we go. Once upon a time, there was a Chinese farmer who had the nicest horse in all the land. And one day that horse was in the pen, and he got out and he ran off. And all the townspeople came and they said, "Oh my gosh, what a disaster! We're so sorry that you lost your horse." And the farmer just looked at him and said, "We'll see." And so the townspeople left, and then the next day, here comes that horse with 7 other studs behind it. And so he quickly gathers all of them and puts them in the pen. And here comes the town people again, and they say, "Wow, not only do you have your original horse back, but now you have 7 more, and they're good looking horses. You must be really, really thrilled." And the farmer looked at him and said, "We'll see." And then the next day, the son was out there riding one of those wild horses and fell off and broke his leg. And here comes the town people again, and they say, "Oh my gosh, what a disaster. Your son fell off the horse and broke his leg." And there's the farmer again. What did he say? "We'll see." And so then the next day, here comes the draft board for the war coming around, drafting these young men into the war. And so here comes the town people. "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky that your son fell off the horse and broke his leg." And the farmer, of course, just said, "We'll see." And so, you know, it's the Suzanne Morphew case is a lot like that story, and that's the reason I shared that. We've had a lot of ups and downs. We've had a lot of highs and lows. We've had a lot of things. You know, if you've stuck with this case like we have, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So, one of the things I'd like to do, and I did this in another video, you know, a few months ago or whatever, but I want to go back and kind of recap the situation that, my situation, and kind of get personal here for a minute. Do you guys care? You guys care if I get personal? And also, do you care if I get a little long-winded tonight? If so, then, I'll keep it short. But if you guys want to go the distance, I can go the distance tonight. I got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. But when I was dating this gal from Southern Colorado, and I went to go meet her parents, I want to tell you kind of some personal history here to kind of lead up to what's going on with the Suzanne Morphew case. So when I went up to go meet her parents, I met, the typical people in this area. And let me tell you a little bit about, the people up there across Sanford, Alamosa, up to Mosca, into Salida, all that area up there. It's kind of an interesting mix of people. And her folks were, they represented a certain population out there. These people that own guns, that are just country folks that they don't mess around. They don't mess around. Let's just put it that way. So, when you go to meet the parents, you're a little nervous because there's a lot of wide open land out there in Southern Colorado, and let me tell you, they make sure they remind you of that. So they take you inside and they say, here's my handgun, and right out here is all this wide open land. And so, yeah, man, it's pretty intimidating when you get up there. There's a lot of wide open land. It's not like, a lot of people picture Colorado and with pine trees and a lot of mountains and stuff like that, and it's most definitely that, but it's also got a lot of high desert, and that's where Suzanne Morphew was found, up in this high desert area. So if you guys looked at that picture that I posted, it was just brush, like sagebrush type stuff, and then there was that one tree. But yeah, man, it's just wide open. And so I was talking to a friend up there, and she was telling me that that's known as the Boneyard, that area right through there, because they've had a lot of people do, just like I'm talking about, man. These people up there don't mess around. You get a lot of hoodlums. And I'm not talking about the good people. There's a lot of really good, solid families and stuff like that. I'm not talking about them, but you get a lot of hoodlums up there in that area. And you get a lot of thugs and people who are associated with the cartel and things like that. And case in point, do you guys remember that guy from Alamosa? His nickname was Psycho. Do you guys remember that guy? And that name fit him to a T. Let me tell you, this guy was psycho. And he was right there in Alamosa, and man, I don't know if they were affiliated with the cartel or what was going on, but these guys were up to no good. Right there in an old hotel in Alamosa, Colorado, they were murdering people. And I mean brutally. That is one of the most graphic and gruesome affidavits that I've ever read, is that affidavit for Psycho. So I highlighted him because that's an example of some of these thugs that hang out in this area. And so yeah, that's kind of what we're dealing with. There's a rough clientele out there. They call this place the Boneyard. Now, before people start getting too excited, let me talk about, I want to stick to my script here real quick, but I want to talk about what's going on with Suzanne being found. That was a shock to everybody. It was a shock to me, and I'm sure it was a shock to law enforcement when they were looking for another lady. Her name was Edna, and she's one of the many missing people in that area right now. So that's out there in the Boneyard. And so when I first heard about it, that they were looking for Edna, I automatically thought, well, heck, what's going on? Like, this kind of throws everything off a little bit with in terms of, Barry's movements and Barry in general. And, you start thinking, well, was this a serial killer? Because, why are they out there in that specific area looking for another body and stuff like that? So, I mean, it's all logical. It all makes sense. And it's a good argument. However, you guys don't understand the technology that's coming out for law enforcement right now. And I don't either. I don't pretend to know, but I do have a pretty good grasp. You know, I researched some stuff, and I have a pretty good working knowledge of AI and what's kind of happening with the advancement of AI. And as you guys know, we're right on the cusp of having a huge AI explosion. And so all this technology is coming out with AI, and so this new technology is out now where with the assistance of AI, law enforcement can scan places like this in Colorado, these arid areas. They can scan the soil and see if there's bones, as long as they're not buried deep in the dirt. They have to be pretty superficial. And if they're superficial, this technology can pick it up. And if they're on the surface, the technology can pick this up. So now I don't know, I haven't heard the entire story. I don't pretend to have all the details in terms of was there somebody else, was there an accomplice, or what, anything like that. But you know, I mean, a lot of it's pretty common sense, you know. So what I was getting at with this AI was, I think what better place to try this new technology than southern Colorado in a place called the Boneyard. And so from my understanding, they've had several bodies that have been recovered within the last couple of weeks up there. They had some other guy, and then they were looking for Edna. They assumed it was Edna out there because she's been missing from that same area. So they just stumbled upon Suzanne Morphew. Her body was found in a shallow grave, as you guys all know. From everything that I've been able to research, her bones had been scattered and by animals, and they were searching most frantically for the hyoid, or I guess that's what it's called, the hyoid bone in the esophagus and the throat, to see if she was strangled and things like that. So I don't know if they found that or not, but according to the guy that was on Nancy Grace's show with me yesterday, he was saying, he's some forensic expert or something, he was saying that that's what they were searching for the most. So, and then my friend told me today that they were all out there looking again. They had two excavators, and they were standing shoulder to shoulder or arm in arm, walking all the fields and everything out there, and walking through the brush and everything. And it's CBI, Chaffee County, I guess, whoever. They got everybody out there searching. So that's one thing to consider. You know, the new advancement in technology with finding the bones of Suzanne Morphew. They're out there. There's a bunch of missing people from that area, like I said. So I'm going to try to stick to my script here. That's what I'm looking at real fast. So I want to talk now about Suzanne Morphew specifically, and the ripple effect that her life has had on all of us, and that it will continue to have, you know, as a lot of people talk about this case and post videos and stuff like that. This case, you know, has really affected a lot of people, and there's just so much that we can take from all this. You know, this has been a journey that we've all been on together, and there's so many lessons that we can learn from it. One of the things that I was thinking about is, let me look at my notes here real quick. I wanted to say at the top, and I forgot. I want to say this though. Just never lose hope, man. Never lose hope, because this is an example of that. You know, and I wanted to say at the top of the hour, if anybody is here that follows the Nick Cordova case out of Arizona, I just want to give a shout out, not a shout out, but I want to just kind of highlight that case here and say never give up, you know, to Alicia and anybody that's involved with that case, Nick's family. Never give up, because you never know when justice and when, you know, things are right around the corner. So Let me see what else I got here, guys. Hold on one second. Let me see. Oh, yeah, the ripple effect. You know, it's just, it all started from, you know, at least from my vantage point. You know, we all have our own stories, but from my vantage point, it all started with a thought that I had, that, and a feeling and an inspiration that I needed to go search for Suzanne. And so as a result of that, that ripple started to grow and grow and grow. And, you know, this case was able to get quite a bit of publicity and eyeballs on it. And so, you know, it's not even over. I mean, it's still, we don't even know what's going on right now. We're just waiting to see now, you know, get answers from her body. So, now, the other thing I wanted to talk about was, if this was a random person, okay, let's just say that this was a random person that abducted Suzanne and all that, right? And she ended up in a shallow grave, like 40 miles away from her house. So if this, why would an abductor take the time to go stage the bike, to put the helmet up here, up the mountain, and, you know, to go take her 40 miles away? And all, I mean, they're not going to stick around and hang out and just, you know, move everything around. They're going to try to leave as, you know, a few possible clues as they could. So, you know, it's just, to me, it just points more and more to Barry, you know. And I don't know, man. I don't know how this is all going to turn out, but if you just look at everything, and you take into consideration what I'm saying about technology and AI and some of the stuff that law enforcement's using now, it makes sense. You know, they were out there just searching the Boneyard, looking for other missing people, and they happened to see her bones using that. I don't know what kind of technology it is, infrared or whatever it is. But so when you start putting all these pieces together, guys, to me it points to Barry. You know, still, I don't think it's some random serial killer or just some random, you know. You got to remember, like we were talking about on Nancy's show, it was a Sunday morning, pretty quiet, very small area, 196 or 167 people in Maysville, Colorado, very small. I mean, you know, it's possible. Nothing's impossible, but it's not likely. It's just not likely. And so to me, it always comes back to Barry. He's always the common denominator. And it just, a lot of the stuff it just doesn't make sense. And so if you watch us on Nancy, then you'll see that she was talking about, you know, how she doesn't expect it to be very long before they refile charges against Barry. So, I mean, that's Nancy's opinion. She's only one person, but it's also my opinion too, and I agree with what she's saying. So, speaking of Nancy, I wanted to tell a story about Nancy Grace real quick. I wanted to tell you, because she invited me to be on her show to come talk about this, and I go on there, and I'm the first person, because there was one time where I got on there too early, and I was making some noise, and I didn't know you were supposed to like mute it or something, and so I was making all this noise. I was eating like a bag of chips or something, and all of a sudden I get cut off and I get kicked out of the show. And so I'm trying to call back, and like I never got to be on that show because I didn't know I was, anyway, I was all worried that and so I showed up early, and Nancy got in there in the chat line with me, and people started to show up, and Lauren Sharp was there, so she can verify this for me. Lauren Sharp was in there, good friend. It was good to talk to her. But anyway, Nancy gets on there and says, "Tyson Draper, are you on here?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Hey, how do you feel about them finding Suzanne?" And I said, "Oh man, I feel great." And she says, "Well, I want you to know that I'm wearing that shirt that you gave me, the one that says Justice for Suzanne on it." And she said, "The other day, or a while back, I was in my closet, and I was going to throw it in the trash, no, I'm sorry, she didn't say trash. She said I was going to take it to the Goodwill or whatever. And I said no, and she goes, no, I'm going to keep it because she says I have a strong feeling that Suzanne's going to be found someday. And she kept it, and she said she was wearing it that day for her show. And I wanted to mention that because it was a cool moment, and also because I wanted to recognize those people that made those shirts, because it wasn't me. I don't want to receive the credit for it. It was Tisha, and I can't remember everybody's name, but it was the people that we all went to dinner there in Salida that night. It's a good bunch of people who put together t-shirts and all kinds of stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. Nancy Grace wearing a Justice for Suzanne shirt with the butterfly and all that. So let me see, man, I'm way off my script here now. Holy cow. Okay, now let me see if I mention everything that I wanted to mention here. Yeah, I guess I did. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's anything else I wanted to say. It's crazy because when you're sitting around all day and you're thinking about stuff that you could say on your video, and you're going through all these different things and you're writing stuff down, you have all these thoughts and everything, but man, I just don't really know what else I could say other than just I'm really humbled that I've been a part of this journey with all you guys. It's just been, like I said at the beginning, it's been up and down and all around and all that. And I swore I wasn't going to do this tonight, but I just wanted to get a little personal here at the end of this video. I told you guys the story about how I was with this gal from Colorado, and we were together, and we have a daughter together that's still pretty young. And when I was with her, we were. Oh man, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. Let's see if it'll come back to me. Give me just a second here. Sorry about that. I lost it, and I got it back here. Well, I told you about how this gal left me, and how I came home one day to an empty house, and it was really, really hard, and I went through a lot of pain and a lot of anguish and a lot of hurt. And that night that I was in Pagosa Springs, Colorado, and I had that overwhelming feeling that I needed to go back to Salida, I was hoping that it would be gone the next day. I didn't want to go back, to be honest with you. I didn't want to go back. And when I woke up the next morning, it was back, and it was more powerful. And as this journey has progressed, I've realized that I don't know why it happened, but as I look back on it, I realized that Suzanne Morphew wasn't the only one that was lost in Colorado that day. That I too was lost. And I was reeling. I was trying to find myself. And I was hurting tremendously for so many different reasons. And so this journey of trying to find Suzanne and bring her justice has been for me, simultaneously, it's been a journey for me to find myself. And so I feel like I have, guys, that we're always a work in progress. We're never perfect, but I feel like I've grown so much as a person. I have. And a lot of it is because of the love and support that you guys gave me along the way. Some of you guys are new here. You think I'm some crazy like crybaby over here, but the people that really stuck with me in the trenches, man, and we were like going on these little journeys to San Diego and Flagstaff and just doing all kinds of crazy stuff. You guys are my people, man. Thank you so much. And we don't know as far as the Suzanne Morphew case goes, we don't know where it's going to go from here. But I can guarantee you one thing, guys. I'm going to be along for the ride. But rest in peace, Suzanne Morphew. You're well loved, girl. You are well loved. Look at all these people making all these comments right here. You guys take care, man. Stay safe out there. The world's getting to be a very dangerous place, especially around the Boneyard, man. Be safe up there in Colorado. Love you guys. You take care now. Bye-bye.